Call to order the regular meeting of the Allendale County Council. This time I ask Mr. Bill Robinson to lead us in invocation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. Oh, Heavenly Father, we beseech Thee as we gather this evening, asking for Thy continued guidance with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding as we partake in the governance of our beloved county. These and all blessings we ask in Thy holy and most merciful name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Declare a quorum, everyone's present. And get approval of agenda.
So, second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, on our agenda, we got on the back of the agenda that an executive session that Ms. Chanel Lewis will be talking about the budget, but she's gonna brief us in open session because that should be an open session, not in executive session. So she'll be talking about something pertaining to the budget in open session. It's not.
Yeah, we'll do the budget under new business right before we go in, and then in the executive session we'll talk about contractual matters.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Can I get approval for the last 4 meetings for minutes?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This time I'd like to welcome everybody out. Good crowd for a rainy day. Hopefully we won't keep you here too long tonight. And I'll say on our public comments are only limited to public comment session of the agenda. And here recently we've gotten into a lot of chatter during other times, so we're going to keep public comments to this section only, if you don't mind. At this time, it's Ann Rice, leadership meeting, ACHS hospital program, and KACD grant.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are y'all? First of all, I want to remind you of the leadership meeting on May 30th. That is at the Brandt Building at 6 o'clock. And this is very important because it's talking about the infrastructure between the towns and the county, and it's necessary for the new industry. So it is necessary. We're inviting all council people.
When is it?
May 30th.
That's that Tuesday, isn't it?
It's
Tuesday after Memorial Day.
yeah, 6 o'clock, Brandt Building. And, you know, this is really important, so I do urge all of you to put that on your calendar. The second thing is I want to tell you that Keep Allendale County Beautiful, we're awarded a cigarette butt grant, and we will be meeting next week to discuss how to implement that. So you'll be seeing some efforts to put containers for cigarette butts around, and also some personal containers for cigarette butts, so maybe we'll cut down on the amount of cigarette butts on the road and on the street and that sort of thing. The second thing is the Allendale County Historical Society. We had scheduled this program for May, and because we just didn't get the advertisement out, we're going to have it on June 5th at 6 o'clock at the theater. It's the people of Allendale, and this is recordings and videos that were done by Brian Fleming from the Baptist Church of lots of people from Allendale that talk about old times in Allendale and remembrances of Allendale. I think it'll be a really enjoyable program, so I urge all of y'all to come and enjoy that evening.
And what's the name of this program again?
It's People of Allendale. It's at 6 o'clock at the theater on June 5th.
And that's the people of Allendale County, right?
Yes, that's right, Allendale County, excuse me, not just town of Allendale, I'm sorry. I'm speaking generally. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ann. Ms. Tony, budget.
Moving along quick. Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. I would like to address the lack of a budget for the next fiscal year. The last budget workshop was on April 18th. Since that time, nothing has been scheduled. At the last workshop, the revenue numbers were given as well as expenses for the administration office. No other expenses for other departments or obligations were presented. Yet we were advised that the company would need to cut $1.6 million from the budget. That didn't make any sense since there weren't any numbers to show the need to do that. As you are aware, this fiscal year ends June 30th. Are we yet again going to have to roll over the budget as had been done for the last several years? That would be unacceptable. We need to have an actual budget that is accurate and realistic. We can't continue to work off the numbers that are years old. Prices have been going up, as we all know. My question is, are we going to have a budget completed on time? I'm hoping that we can complete that budget on time. That is the first step to getting our finances in order, to then be able to have our audits completed on time so that the state doesn't hold our money.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we going to be close?
We intend to, yes, ma'am.
I'll hold you to it.
All right, we don't have any visitors. I'd like to recognize Dr. Molnar. Thank you for being here with us tonight. This time we'll start our council reports. I'll be very brief. I've got a CTC nomination. We lost one member from my district, and I'm going to nominate Reggie McMillan. And I've also Law Enforcement Consolidation Task Force or Committee. Allendale County did retain a lawyer to help us with some of the legal questions that we've been asked about how some things may transpire and some monies and some taxes, how all that may work. So we do have him retained. I talked to him last week. He's gonna, I let him know some questions that we had and the people at the last meeting had. So he's gonna try to get some legal answers to some of those questions and get back with us. And as soon as he gets all that information together, I'll get with council and our task force and we'll set up the next meeting.
Do we need to put your CTC person as a recommendation, you want to put it in a motion? Or on Reggie?
Does it need to be a motion?
Do we need to?
That's his recommendation for his district.
Yeah. I make a motion, we accept Reggie McMillan as a District 4 representative to our CTC committee.
Second.
And a motion and a second, is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And that's all I have. Mr. Robinson?
Yes. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. There's a few things I'd like to point out. I'm glad to have Dr. Molnar with us. We had our executive committee meeting last week in Blackville, and one of the things that came out of that meeting was housing. And I think Dr. Molnar promised that each council, county council, will receive, as well as municipality, additional information concerning housing, what's available. We do have money in our region for housing, and it will be nice we can get that information out to the public. That's certainly one of the things that the new industry will be tackling as they move in with their people and as folks move into the community. They're going to be looking for housing, so I think the timing on that will certainly be perfect. Also, we talked last month about Bert getting a letter to Mr. Bennett from DOT on the reinforcement of the bridges down at our nature trail off of 301. I do have that information for Bert to go ahead and make that contact. I know it's about 2 or 3 years out. I think the bridge completion date is like 2027. So it's way out there. And but I think we need to get our requests in. And then I said follow up, with Alex, him as well as I do. Because if it gets there, it's going to stall if nobody push it. Also, for Bert, on the opioid settlement, I think we need to at least, if we hadn't done so, look into what money will be coming to the county. I know we got to put in for it, right, but it certainly could be a budget issue for us to include that in the overall budget for the New Life Center, which pretty much runs that program for us. So I'm hoping we can go ahead and get some things done on that. And we need to do it as soon as we can, because if I remember the briefing we had about 3 or 4 months ago, you got to put in. Right,
and William is working on that.
Okay, all right. Also, we had a surprise donation from Mr. Carl Polite to recreation, to the golf program. Mr. Polite presented about 50 or 60 clubs or better for use in our golf program. And I was informed by recreation that the golf program will begin on June 13th. So if you know a youngster that want to learn how to play golf, just contact Lexi Brown or Laurie Joner there at the recreation department so we can get a roster of kids and begin at least twice a week. Year before last, we took them out to Denmark for a day outing on the golf course. As you know, Denmark is closed, but I'm sure we will find a regional golf course to take our kids out to. Also, in speaking with recreation folks, I was out there. They're in the midst of baseball season now. They started, actually the league play started yesterday. And, or excuse me, the last day of practice today and yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And league play begins on Saturday. We did have Department of Correction was out at the recreation Morris Home Field all day on Tuesday. They've used it for their departmental celebration and use of the field, etc. So we're real happy to accommodate them and their needs to use our facility. Also, I made reference to Bert in a letter to Mr. Dowling early in the week, and I have that information for you to kind of reach out to him, and we'll pass that on to you. And when we met a couple of weeks ago, we had Mr. Keith Rodoff and Mark Lott talked about the use of the courthouse grounds for celebration, and we asked that they meet with Elaine Saab, our county clerk, and she has engaged with them. And at some point, Elaine, you may kind of brief us as to the area that will be used for that Saturday.
I actually met with Mr. Locke yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Rodell was unavailable to attend the meeting, but I discussed that because of the celebration that they're trying to do, that I was not in favor of them utilizing the front lawn of the courthouse. I told them that they can use the real parking lot, and we would block off this street right here from 301 up into the side of the courthouse, and we could utilize all those parking areas.
Okay, so it looks like you've already worked out an agreement and usage. Okay, very good. And lastly, got 2 meetings next week, SRS, CRO meeting, and I won't be there because we have Association of County meeting, but I know you will be at the CRO meeting, so, and be in Columbia for the SCAC meeting and getting ready for our annual meeting in August. And lastly, Bert, I know we talked about the SRS funding for CV Bank, and I know everything is pretty much geared up to the audit, but at least we need to.
Yes, sir. I've actually submitted the paperwork to them for the release of those funds.
Okay, all right. That's all I have, sir.
Okay, Ms. Taylor?
Yes, sir. On the coroner's report, I was informed that the coroner's has received a grant fund in the amount of $21,170, and the funds must be spent by July the 31st. She's currently in the process of doing invoices to better equipment her office uses and funds for apply for those funds. And she also stated that she contacted the administrative office and she was spoken to Ms. Dobson, and Ms. Dobson informed her that Mr. Rear about the blue lights on her new car, that she needed to take off of the 2010 Ford Flex vehicle and transfer them to the 2015 Tahoe. But, she's gonna be using both vehicles, so, and she have funds, so, what she would like to do is for her deputy coroners to use that 2010 Ford Flex, and she'll be using the 2015 Tahoe, new car, so she would need the blue lights on both vehicles. And she have funds, so if she got funds, you know, I hope council approve that she can equip the new vehicle, the 2015 Tahoe, as well as leaving the 2010 Ford Flex blue lights on its car, because she's gonna need both, one for the coroner, one for her deputies and one for herself.
Are you gonna make her?
I think that if there's
motion on
grant funds, and that's at her discretion, she can do that.
Yeah,
Right, but that's what I'm saying, this is what she requested, and along with buying furniture for her office,
Okay.
for the coroner's office, and the grant that was awarded to her is $21,700. But because she contacted Ms. Dobson, and she said that you told her to take the blue lights off the blue car, off of the 2010, but she wants to keep the blue lights on that vehicle and add blue lights to the other vehicle with the use of her funds that she received from them.
That's fine.
Okay. I have a report from EMS report. EMS, County of Allendale EMS report. We have, paramedics hours 2. Paramedics, they have hourly, they have 2. Advanced emergency medical technical hours, they have 1. Emergency medical technical hours, they have 5. Currently EMS and paramedics work 80 hours bi-weekly and average 16 hours overtime in pay period. County EMS and paramedics worked approximately 12 hours in unscheduled overtime pay in the past 2 weeks. Transported and destination, Aiken Regional Medical Center, they had 5. AU Air Care flyouts, they had 2. Allendale County Hospital, they had 83. Augusta University Medical Center, they had 12. Beaufort Memorial Medical Center, they had 1. Collington County Medical Center, they had 4. Lexington County Medical Center, they had 2. MUSC Ashley Rivers Power, they had 3. Piedmont Augusta, they had 1. Providence, they had 1. Regional Medical Center Orangeburg, they had 2, with a total emergency calls for the month between April the 17th, 2023 through May 15, 2023 was 116. Also, Allendale County EMS along with Allendale County Fire and Rescue, EMS, E911 Communication, Allendale County Sheriff Department, and other departments within the state will be hosting an active shooting drill on Monday, May the 22nd, 2023, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. On Denmark Technical and other things, the last, Denmark Technical College is scheduled to begin its emergency medical technician class to be held at the Allendale County Library. Field interns will be hosted by the Allendale County Rescue Squad. And we did have a Parks and Recreation meeting on last evening, Ms. Jennings and I, and we weren't informed of the good news that Mr. Robinson just shared, but why, we don't know, but we will hopefully next month have a report. He don't have to report on the Parks and Recreation. They'll update us. Also, we did thank Mr. Robinson for attending the Lower Savannah call that I could not attend that day, which I contacted Mr. Robinson due to personal reasons. My husband's birthday, I don't mind sharing it. And but we was out of town, and Mr. Robinson said he would be glad to attend. And I'm sorry I missed that meeting. But it is very important that we do something in Allendale County because of this new industrial that's coming in, and I don't want to take Ms. Jenny's thunder, I'm sorry. But we're working on this together. I'll leave that for Ms. Jenny to report. Thank you. That's me, Mr. Chair.
All right, Mr. White?
Yeah, so in line with what you just said and what Ms. Rice reported regarding the leadership meeting and also Mr. Robinson talking about the housing, I just want to report that the Lower Savannah Council of Government contacted the county today regarding the readiness for our planning and zoning and the county as a whole to begin the 10-year comprehensive plan, which is very important for our county. We want to get buy-in from everybody. Once we have the initial kickoff of the development of the plan, we definitely want all of council involved. We want our citizens involved. So the other thing regarding that, we know some of the projects that are going on. We are happy to report that the ACPA plant, which is the first spec building on Highway 278, they're on the brink of being completed. And also the spec building, the second spec building on 278 is completed, and there will be a final walkthrough on Tuesday. So for all of our council members, you can reach out to Mr. Joe Mole to coordinate. If we want to do that walkthrough that day, there's not a particular time. We just need to coordinate the time that we want to go through there and walk through that. But that is all I have.
All right, thank you, Mr. White. Ms. Jennings.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, everyone. I would like to start out with, I have an invitation, or James White and I have an invitation from Mr. Danny Black for an orientation about SCA and what they're all about. And ever since I've been on council, I've been hearing about SCA, and this would be my first time, going to an orientation to find out, what they have to offer for our county. And so that will take place the second week in June. I believe it's on the 10th in Hampton. And so I will be attending that orientation. I am doing some reading. I've been hearing a lot of stuff about our surrounding counties, Barnwell, Bamberg, Hampton, and even Estill. They're making plans for our plant that's coming to Allendale. Everybody's making plans but Allendale. And so I am proposing to the council tonight that we come up with a committee that's made up of persons from the municipalities, Allendale, Fairfax, Omer, Sycamore, everybody. We need to have a committee to study what we can do in Allendale County to get ready for projects ready to come to Allendale. In terms, and I'm hearing everyone talk about housing. Housing is very important, and I've spoken to Mr. Wilbur Cave, and he has a lot of experience in housing. He's also recommended the director of Allendale Live. He has a lot of experience in that as well. So, council members, what do I need to do in order to get that committee? Do I have to make a motion or to get it done? Could someone make a motion for me, please?
Yes, I would make a motion that we establish a committee made up of representatives from each of the municipality and the county that will investigate our needs for housing and to make recommendation on how we can provide more housing for citizens of the county. And I'm hoping, that's my motion, but I'm going to caveat with the fact that Dr. Monard from Lower Savannah will have some information available for that committee so we can look at and move forward. That's my motion.
Excuse me, before you carry the motion, I would like to add, I said representatives from the municipalities, but I would like to also add the county administrator to that committee as well.
I would amend it to include the county administrator, Mr. Berto, as part of that committee.
I second it.
All right, we got a motion to establish a committee with representatives from each municipality and the county administrator to investigate the county needs for our housing needs and to make recommendations of their findings to the county.
Is that including some of the county council members as well?
Yes.
Okay, but that wasn't it.
Do you want to put a number or you just want to leave it at that and we'll figure it out? Just leave it at
Of
that?
the county.
Or about everything?
Yeah, I think you should have at least We have 4 incorporated municipalities in the county: Sycamore, Almers, Allendale, and Fairfax. And that should be at least 1 representative from a municipality. The outlining counties, I think you could exclude 5 additional members, and that give you a committee of 9. And Bert won't have any voting on it, but he would more or less direct that committee. So you got 9. And as you know, county council, we're a member of all committees, so we can attend that. I don't think I want to officially, unless Councilwoman Jennings want to do it, I don't want to officially assign a council person. You may want to assign a council committee, you know, to work with that committee instead of the entire council, just like we have on other committee assignments. So I would say.
So the 5 public members are gonna come from each district?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Everybody
There you
have a county?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's 9 plus, you can actually, Chairman, just recommend 2 council person to serve as.
I volunteer.
Okay. You have 1 volunteer already, and I would volunteer Councilwoman Jennings to be part of that committee.
All right.
No, thank you, because I do intend to be at all of the meetings, right?
You said yes?
Yes,
Okay.
I said I do intend to attend all of the meetings.
Very good.
Well, okay, so we're gonna add to the motion that we're gonna add a representative from Sycamore, Ormer, Allendale, Fairfax, and then each county council member will appoint 1 person from their district, and Ms. Jennings and Mrs. Taylor will be representatives for the county,
Yes.
but no vote.
No vote.
Okay. All right, you got a motion, how about a second?
Second. Well, I made the motion, I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second, is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next report will be on the Office of Aging. It was Mr. Dewan Smith said that he took over 30 seniors to eat at the Old Time Restaurant in Statesboro, Georgia on May 5th for Seniors Week. And on May 31st of this month, he will be taking the seniors to Gifford Senior Luncheon, and they will receive fruit and a vegetable box. And on June 1st, 2023, the Office of Aging have partnered with South Carolina DSS to give away $50 fruit vouchers. In the past, they were only given $25, but this year will be $50. This is for the age group of 60 years old and older, and a husband and wife in the same household qualifies for $50 each. So this will happen on June the 1st. In the month of April, Mr. Smith said they served 340 hot meals and delivered over 1,650 frozen meals in the community. The other proposal recommendation that I have for the Office of Aging, the Office of Aging is located on Highway 278 East. There's only 1 entrance into that facility from 278. So, but that facility is housed on 23 acres of land that's owned by the county. And I am asking the council that if I could even ask Mr. All or someone to do a study to see how, or Reverend Moe, is he in here?
Yes, ma'am.
Reverend Moe. I spoke to Reverend Moe about another interest into that facility, and Reverend Moe did recommend that we try to do one from the highway because of, I don't know, Reverend Moe, would you speak for me?
Well, the reason I said that, it's not impossible, but when you start talking about another entrance from that main corridor going through, you're talking about encroachment permits, you're talking about engineering costs. You'd be for a long time trying to justify the measures. So my recommendation was that, and we met with William back some time ago and looked at not coming out on the main corridor, but a better route would be to go back onto the back side of the building. You could exit with a road that could come out on Law Enforcement Drive, because you own the property there, which could be utilized for both ingress and egress right there.
And Joe, you remember, you know, several years ago, we recommended that, and at some point, I thought we had it on the CTC books to cut that road further back in, and then make a left and go out to law enforcement. We just have to make certain that it gets on CTC schedule to do that.
We're actually going to, on Monday afternoon at 4:30, Herb and I is actually going to be over there on the lights, but Jenny went to join us there.
Good.
That, and I'm going to show the concept we had. That would also give us not only another ingress even, but also it would help for loading and unloading on the back entrance when you go.
Plus, what we had said several years ago, that could allow us to have additional parking on that backside.
That's right, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, but before you put additional parking, I want to finish with my proposal,
Oh,
please.
yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I also spoke to Reverend Mole about the possibility of a walking trail in the back for the seniors, because, you know, walking is very important to remain healthy and to live longer, is what my daughter told me. So, but if it's possible, if it's approved by CTC that a road could be cut in the back of the building, if they could also clean out an area for a walking trail for our seniors, because, you know, they need, when they come to the Office of Aging building, you know, they need to do more than just sit in a room. They need to be out and back and walking. And also, I thought about getting donations for maybe picnic tables or whatever from different organizations or businesses in the county for the Office of Aging to put in the back of the building. But I think that we should, I'm going to attend the CTC meeting to see the possibility of what they could do to help us. And of course, anybody that have any ideas or anyone that want to make donations, anybody would like to donate a picnic table, you know, we can still have those, okay?
Benches? What about
Benches and whatever.
Taking benches too.
Anybody that would like to donate it, we will welcome anything that will help our seniors. And they could sit outside sometime. And you know, it's a beautiful campus because they have a lot of trees there, and there's a lot of areas where you can put benches or picnic tables or whatever.
I agree.
We've also got in contact with the prison because they make picnic tables out there at the prison. So trying to get them to donate something too, you know, to the Office of Aging. So that's a proposal. Now, do I need a motion for that?
For the
See, if I
benches,
could ask to it, that
for the prison.
with the walking trail, we will look at more of an official county walking trail. So we'll see exactly, because there are certain restrictions, of course, with CTC funds. So again, we're gonna look at the whole concept, but what we actually talk about is the development process, where the CTC was gonna say, for to bring in the corridor to go around, but at the same time, if it's a consolidated effort where the county would have to participate on something, when you have one excavating company in there, we could somewhere. So I want to make sure that we know that we'll make the approach to get as much as we can out of the CTC, but we'll come back hopefully with a consolidated plan if that's what's necessary, where it would be both county and CTC would bring both of those parts of it.
And
That was my recommendation.
I would like to request, Mr. Rear, if you will write a letter to the prison requesting benches or picnic tables.
And you may wanna just entice it a little bit, Bert, if we can provide the lumber, they could do the labor, maybe something like that. And we probably can get the lumber donated. Walter, you think so?
So, do I need a motion, Mr. Chair, for that?
I don't think so.
No,
Not until you get some more information, I think.
get some more
It'll
information?
be too late, I think,
Okay, thank you.
whatever you want to do.
Okay, I'm not done yet, okay? Okay, Mr. Chair. I am working on, I need 2 more bids. I'm working on a menu for June the 8th, the Lower Council of Government. We will be housing in Allendale County, the Lower Council of Government for a supper on June 8th. And I only have 1 bid so far for a menu, and I'm asking Ms. Judy if she will provide us with another bid for a menu, please. And,
Want to have one?
I only have 1 so far.
We need 2 more.
Yeah, I know. Mhm. I'm working on the other 2, Ms. Judy, and then I'm gonna ask someone else for a bid for that, for June 8th. And we are looking forward, Ms. Dr. Mono, and you coming to Allendale County and bringing your people, and we welcome you here. Mr. All and Mr. All, myself, William Robinson, and what's it? Laurie, met at Martin Park. And Mr. Gould is sitting here.
Yeah.
We all met at Martin Park because they're having a big event, and you all are welcome to come. Is that correct?
Is that correct?
Okay. They're having barbecue. You're all welcome to come. And what date is that?
That is to be held at the, I think officially is the Jacksonville Planting Park, that's it? That's the official name of it?
Yeah, that's the official name that we adopted. But I think you got something at the fire station.
Well, no, we're not gonna have
Fire
that
station,
anymore.
I spoke with Chief Simmons, he said the bylaws, with the bylaws are drawn up, that we are not to have any, we couldn't have any activities at the fire station. So I'm not, that's what so everything will be held at the,
At the park. The park is located, and thanks to Reverend Mole again, the park will be locating at the new 9-1 address at 610 Thomas Edwards III Drive in Martin, South Carolina. 610, and thank you very much. It's official, because Edisto Electric said they couldn't do anything until they had an address. And so we now have an address. Now, the only thing we have to come up now with money. So we've already, the council has already approved the fencing, because the park it's like, what's it, 17 acres?
It's roughly less than 20 acres.
20 acres,
Why
something
would we
like
say
that. And a large part of the park cannot be used. It's not usable. And so the council approved, and Mr. All, that they're gonna put a fence up around the area that's not to be used for safety reasons. And in the area that will be used has a huge baseball field, in which I think they're gonna have a baseball game, a softball game, one of them. And they have 2 beautiful pavilions there. The only thing, and they have playground equipment. The only things they need now is they need electricity, they need water, and they need plumbing. Are the 3 things that they need. I have included in your folders the price of those things that Mr. All has from Edisto Electric. Mr. O'Rear, you have that too as well. From Edisto Electric, from the plumbing person, the electrical person, whatever. So Mr. All said he can't do anything, he cannot move forward unless he has electricity. Edisto Electric, they not coming, and I think they're, can I say prices here? But you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what they are. Okay. But, 'cause I say prices here, but you know what Mr. O'Rear, Mr. All said he needs approval before he can go forward with anything. And so you have the prices, and as council, make a decision as to what to do. Now, do you need to look at that some more?
Yeah, we'll discuss it maybe in executive session.
Okay. The next thing I have on my list, first I would like for Mr. Robinson, if he would step outside, because I really don't want you to be a part of this discussion.
Okay. Excuse me.
I'm getting ready to talk about him, y'all. Thank you. Okay, we've received several correspondence from Clemson University, from Rory Dowling, who is the developer for the CV Bank project in Allendale. And we're at a critical point now wherein we have to do something. We cannot hire a permanent project manager at this time because we don't have the money, because the state has not released the money for the CV Bank project. But Rory is saying that we have to do something until we can hire a permanent person. The reason that I asked Councilman Robinson to step outside, because I have a proposal, that a recommendation, or asking the council for to appoint a temporary manager, project manager. And I wanted to reemphasize that this is temporary. This is not a permanent position. The person that I am recommending works for the county already. All right, he's William Robinson, who works in Mr. O'Rear's office. His position right now is a fiscal analyst. He's a grant manager and risk manager. And let me tell you the reason why I recommended him is because if the council approved for him to be the temporary person in this position, this will be beneficial to the county in the long run, because he will be Wilbur Cave, Rory, Clemson, everybody will be working with him. He will be being introduced to the different state, federal agencies, funding people. I don't know who all of the funding people, state, local, federal, or whatever. And even after he does not have that position, after his time is up, he will still have the knowledge. He will have that knowledge that is very important for us to carry us further, to make us successful. And because that plant is coming here, that will also benefit us. Well, because he can help us in that area as well. Because they're going to be working with him closely, very closely. Rory, Wilbur Cave, people from Clemson. And I would like for the council to approve that tonight, that he is the temporary project manager of the CV Bank project.
Are you making that in the form of a motion? Are you making that in the form of a motion?
Yes.
All right.
So,
Got a motion and a second to name William Robinson Jr., I guess, as the temporary project manager for the CV Bing project. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Let me do one more quick check.
Well, once you check this, Jude, don't forget to put that Mr. Robinson recused himself.
Don't forget to put Mr. Robinson.
Mr. Chair, that is the end of my report.
You want to ask Mr. Robinson?
What'd you say?
Good job, good job.
What did she say?
Good job.
Set a record.
You said I got a record?
You set a record,
I set a record? I
For the
did?
record,
being short.
your
Is it
son
showing
is
it?
named as the temporary project manager for CBP. All right. County Administrator report, Mr. Berto Rear.
Wanted to report to the council that at the last council meeting, you guys had given me a directive to carry out, and I sent that directive out to all of the individuals that were affected. And as far as I know, as of Monday last week, that is being complied with. Also, another directive that was issued was, as far as personnel matters were concerned, that too has been cleared up and taken care of. And we have a couple things that we want to give out to you. Ms. Chanel has got a copy of the expense report that she's going to give to you. You got their copies, right? Yeah, if you'll just hand those out for me. I'm not going to go through it because it's 11 pages long. But I would like to draw your attention to the last page.
Thank you.
That
Thank you.
total amount that you see there is what we have spent so far for this fiscal year, including all vendor payments and salaries and benefits and bank fees. And since we're in open session, and this is for transparency reasons, it equals $7.7 million. So you have a listing of all the vendors that have been paid. And that last amount on the column, it says salary, benefits, and bank fees. That's $3.2 million, and the rest of it is vendor expense.
So we're looking at 670,000 per month.
Correct.
So we're right at 8.2, 8.3.
Which is what the budget, the rollover budget was for.
Okay, all right.
That's all I have at this point.
Mr. Wood,
Yes, ma'am.
I failed to mention that. Would you contact Rory
Yes,
to let him know who the project manager is?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
I do want to follow up something with what Ms. Jennings mentioned. I would also like to see if CTC could do something about that entrance into the leisure center, because it's in really bad disrepair. There's potholes, it's very bumpy, and as I get older, I don't like to go over potholes and bumps because of the bones. And so I can imagine what our senior citizens are having to deal with when they're going in vans and personal vehicles and stuff. So maybe they could look at that. Even DOT may look at, because they usually provide the driveway up to a certain distance. So maybe DOT would do the driveway part, and then maybe CPC would look at paving over those potholes and stuff that DOT would cover. And that's it.
All right. Mr. Sanders, County Attorney report.
Well, just briefly, on your agenda, you've got a resolution authorizing an irrevocable standby letter of credit for the airport tank. And I just want y'all to be aware that this is very similar to one that we did back on September the 18th, 2008, to set up the same line of credit. So it's nothing new. It's required by DHEC to have financial responsibility because of those underground tanks.
Okay.
And you've got that under new business. And then I have something for the executive session.
All
A
right.
question, do we have money for that, or does airport have money for that, is that a grant?
No, it's not a grant, it is, a line of credit is, if they need money concerning the underground tanks, they can get the money immediately from the bank. They won't draw any money, they haven't ever drawn any money since 2008, but they have to show DHEC that they have the ability to get money quickly if the tanks leak, as an example. But no money will be spent for that unless something happens, which I don't anticipate that.
But council would have to approve it for any card. That's not actually on the agenda yet.
Yeah, we had a revised agenda.
Oh,
You might not have the right copy.
Sorry.
Yeah, we posted the following day, so.
Okay.
Is that all you have, Mr. Sanders?
That's it.
All right. At this time, I'm going to turn the gavel over to Mr. Robertson. I'm going to recuse myself from the first part of the old business.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're going to move forward with the old business. And as you can see on the agenda item, this is the second reading of an ordinance to amend the Allendale County official zoning maps for a portion of tax map parcel number 135-00-00-044 from RUD, which is Rural Urban Development, Rural District, to IND, which is industrial. So we're taking a farmland, pretty much, and we are rezoning it as industrial property. And that's part of our old business. Can I get a, this is our second reading, so we got one more to go. Okay, so.
I've already had the public hearing. The zoning ordinance required the public hearing before the first reading.
Get a motion to approve the second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Moving properly second, that this will include our second reading of the ordinance to amend the Allendale County official zoning map from RUD to ID for this particular parcel, 00-00-044. Tax map, page 135. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposes? Ayes have it.
You okay?
All right, next on the list, we have the policy and procedure manual. Ms. Taylor, do you have something on that?
Mr. Chair, yes, we have in place the one that was written by the labor board lawyer, and that's the one that we're using currently. I would like to continue to use that, because it's easy for the type of government we have. So all you had, you had a copy in here, and we just want to continue with it. I would put that in the form of a motion, that we continue using the manual that the county has, form of government, council, administrative form of government.
I second that.
All right, got a motion and a second to keep the current employee manual. Got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All those-
Yeah, have a discussion, Mr. Chair. We received the email, which we already had this in place since last month, but we received the email reflecting a portion of the old policy, procedure manual that we rescind. And it had page 105, there was something about dress codes, but that is in this policy as well. So I just want to let Mr. Real might want to inform his employees, whenever they reflect on the policy and procedure manual, we're using the one that the labor board lawyer wrote for the county, and that's the one that's in place. The old one that we had is not active anymore, the one you got from Dorchester. So we want to make sure a letter go out to all employees, letting them know we only have 67 pages in the one the labor board wrote versus the one that we was using. So now this is the one in place now that we're using. It's a council form of government, council administrative form of government.
Council.
Council form.
Council
form of government.
Okay, council form of government.
Council.
I'm sorry, thank you.
It's okay. I would add to that, and I know it's been motion has been made and we second it, but I would like for us to, with Mr. O'Rear approval, ask our HR person to, on a periodic basis, to look at it and make certain that this policy covers all the new laws that has been, all the personnel laws that have been enacted since we used this 10 or 12 years ago, to make sure it compiles with the existing laws. And Walter, that may be something you can help her with.
Well, y'all had directed me to contact the
I
attorney
know.
who prepared this, but she's retired.
I know, but what I'm asking, with your guidance, couldn't our HR person, because I know she's been off the training, just make certain that it closely relates to the existing personnel law in our state. Because if we say something and we do something based on this policy, and if it's not the current state policy, then there's going to be some liability here. That's all I'm asking. Okay?
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, new business, resolution authorizing an irrevocable standby letter of credit. Says whereas pursuant to the provisions of South Carolina underground storage tank control regulations, since the fuel tanks at the Allendale County Airport are underground, Allendale County is obligated to demonstrate financial responsibility to the underground storage tank regulatory assistance section of DHEC. And whereas an irrevocable standby letter of credit is an acceptable financial responsibility mechanism. Now therefore be it resolved that Allendale County Council hereby authorizes the county administrator to request and obtain an irrevocable standby letter of credit.
That should get me a bad day.
Yeah, that's a good news.
I'm sorry.
Hit the gavel.
I'm sorry, sir.
In the amount of $25,000 from the Palmetto State Bank, Allendale, South Carolina. Can I get a motion to accept?
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now next, Ms. Chanel Lewis, got some stuff on the budget.
Good evening, council and members of the public. Just so you know that we are currently still working on the budget. We're moving forward. What I came before council to ask is for your consideration for us to possibly review existing fees, see when the last time they were updated, see if there is time for an adjustment as a part of this budget process. But I'm not authorized to do this. You're the governing body. I wanted to ask your permission because we're still in a part where we're upside down and see if that could be one of the things we do that could possibly help us get there. Also, what I would like to do is ask your permission for the water utility. The water utility does generate enough money to cover itself. I wanted to ask your permission if we could look at getting the meters changed and updated to make sure that the proper charges are being going out, because it's my understanding that some of the meters may not work properly, or it's been a long time since they've been replaced, or they're hard to access. So those are things I wanted to ask council to consider as a part of the budget process, and this would help us get closer to where we want to be. But these are things that may have not happened over time, but I would like council to consider.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
You're not considering an increase in taxes, are you? That's not.
Oh, I'm not talking about taxes. I'm talking, right now I'm not talking about taxes. I think that's something that we should consider. I think that the more we do of multiple things, the more we can look at not increasing taxes or minimize an increase if we have to. So these are things I wanted to do, to look at, to make sure we can make any increases negligible. If we do a little bit here and a little bit there in multiple places, then we can try our best to keep things down.
Do you have examples?
What she was saying about the water utilities, about we don't even have meters on them. We're charging water by our sewer usage, right? Which is
At prison.
kind of backwards, so I think that was the.
Yes,
one of the
and
main
water
ones, right?
water is a primary source of income for a lot of places. It usually it's very revenue driven, and if our meters are not active or not being read, then we may be missing out on revenue. And if they're read and we have more revenue, then we don't have to increase other places.
And I understand about the meters, and I don't have a problem with that, but what I would like to see us do is take a look at the usage, the current usage, and just increase our prices on that usage until we can get a meter in place.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that's what I mean by fees, or even permit fees, different kinds of fees.
Sure.
So I mean, looking across the board, not in one place, but I'm certainly happy about your
I just don't want to
discussion about that.
put $20,000 on meters and we may collect 20,000 less. I would like to just go ahead and up our rates, and then later on put in some meters. I mean, let's do it. And this, to me, we got the cart before the horse. And I think in this case, it's probably needed, because long before we actually looked at DOC and what they was paying, they're probably paying 5 times as much now, and they never complained when we made that increase. So I think we need to certainly look at the fees and tell them, because they're gonna have to, prisoners are gonna need water. We're not gonna try to take advantage of it, but we can take a look at our rates, which probably hadn't changed in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yes, sir.
If you look back, what we've been charging and what they're paying, you know, that's 5 to 7 years, no increase. So, you know, I think let's do the fee increase and then look at the meters.
And
That would be my suggestion.
Yes, well, I'm here to ask council to consider that and for your direction.
And you've looked at the schools, the
And-
fee in lieu.
I did look at the schools, and I do have documentation that I will provide you
Very good.
that it's not necessary if you did want to discontinue that. So, but I wanted to see if we could review all the fees and bring that before you to look at them, and then council decide yay, nay,
Yes.
or they want to leave that.
And when do you think you're gonna have all that ready? Because someone mentioned, I think, this,
Well, I'm not sure, but I wanted to get on that right away, but I wanted to ask your permission to look into it.
If I can interject for just a second, I think what she's talking about is like fees from planning and zoning, courts fees, magistrates fees, sheriff's department fees, coroner's fees, all those different departments where there haven't been any adjustments in a number of years.
Sure.
That maybe we need to look at all of those fees as a whole and try to figure out where we really need to be competitive with other counties or comparable to other counties in the area, and then bring that before the council. But I think what she was just doing is just asking you for permission where she could reach out to those different areas.
Yes,
I mean,
that's exactly what I'm doing.
I mean, I think we'd be crazy not to.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a
We don't
norm.
have a good understanding of our finance system, we have to
Yeah.
reach out and find out.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got a hand back there.
If I may address the council, the court fees and magistrate fees and all those, they cannot be adjusted. Those fees are regulated by the state and by ordinance.
Yeah, I wasn't specifically mentioning those. I meant like if you make a copy for something, a copy of a document or a FOIA request, or fees that you do have control over that aren't regulated by the state.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea to reach out to whomever we can.
Okay, thank you.
And, Mr. Chairman, want to express?
Well, did you have more questions for me?
Well, I'd just like to know when you're gonna be able to make a presentation to us.
I'm not sure, but I'm going to start on this tomorrow.
Thank you.
I'll answer that question. We'll try to have something for you no later than the day after Memorial Day, which is the 29th, I believe.
So you're talking about
So the
next
day
week?
after. We will work very diligently on getting that information to you.
When we gonna have a budget workshop?
That's today I'm talking about.
Well, we do have that leadership meeting on that 30th.
Oh.
It should be that Tuesday.
Okay. Well, then we can do the 31st. Well, that's a Wednesday.
That's Wednesday. We can do it always, do it on the first.
On the 1st, and we'll do it on June 1st.
What time? Because we
That's
got
on-
orientation that day for the Southern Carolina Alliance.
Yeah, that's certainly, that's on a Thursday, the first.
Yes,
And that's at 6 o'clock.
yes, that's at 6 o'clock. Orientation is, no, it's from 2 to, from 10 to 2, I'm sorry.
I'm supposed to be on June 1st.
Finish with me there.
What about the 2nd?
No, the first is fine. 'cause
So
the
we're gonna have a
orientation
budget
is
meeting
10 to 2.
June
Oh,
1st.
okay.
Budget meeting June 1st, 6 o'clock here.
Can we do that?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Do you still need a executive session?
Yes.
All right, thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you.
At this time, I'll get a motion to go into executive session.
So moved, sir.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
into open session. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Walter, you never let